everyone. So today we're going to be talking about quality, and we're really talking about quality in terms of food service operations. So take a second to reflect on what does it mean when we say what is quality? So here we can think about what does quality mean in terms of food service? Um, And because we've been talking a lot about schools and school nutrition programs, what does it mean, or what does quality mean in terms of a food service program? What are the characteristics do you think make up a quality food service or a quality school nutrition program? We can think of quality in terms of food, and we can think of quality in terms of service. Quality food is certainly a concern. Of food can be thought of in terms of a number of factors, including how the food is selected, how the food is prepared, and how the food is served. Each of these processes ultimately impacts the quality. Some characteristics to think about in terms of food quality include the ability to retain or enhance natural flavor and identity, conserve nutrients, make it more palatable, acceptable, attractive, and appealing. Think about all the aesthetic factors that we talked about in the beginning of the semester. And then certainly we can think about food quality in terms of food safety. So bacteriologically and chemically, is the food safe? Quality can also be thought of in terms of service. And here we may have some tangible things, things that a customer could actually touch or have value, or intangible. So these are more abstract things. So when we're talking about service quality in terms of tangible, it might be the portion size. And does the customer think that it is a value, the money that they're spending, they're getting a value for that, for their food? In terms of intangible, it could be something to the effect of, does the food arrive on time? Is it hot if it should be hot, or is it cold if it should be cold? Is the server friendly? Do they provide assistance? Those are much more, sort of intangibles that we could think of in terms of service quality. As food service managers, we can take different approaches to managing quality. There are many approaches to quality. Some of the more common include quality assurance, total quality management, and continuous quality improvement. And we're going to talk about each one of these. The quality assurance approach involves developing a set of standards and then developing controls to make sure those standards are met. Quality assurance is an older model that is very much product driven or output oriented. And what this means is the quality is driven by the product, or perhaps a better way to say it is, the quality is checked after the fact. So you produce the product, and then at the very end, you're checking it to make sure that it's met your quality standards. So this approach is very much considered reactive versus proactive. And a food service example would be, checking the plates as they come off the tray line in a hospital. The trays might be checked for temperature correctness and other quality measured, but those checks are done at the end. So think back to the video which we saw with the tray line, the food coming off the tray line. That's sort of a quality assurance, making sure the trays are correct before they go out to serve us. And then I just put a funny commercial here. This is a Hanes commercial, and it's from the 1980s. And if you click this, not in the recorded video, but in the slide sets that I post, put it in PowerPoint preview, put it in presentation preview, and click it, you can see this old commercial, and this you'll see is very much a picture of quality assurance. Total quality management is another quality approach. This approach really began after World War II in Japan. At the time, the Japanese were mass producing products, but the quality wasn't really there. And a lot of their products were really considered and were inferior products. So a gentleman by the name of Deming really worked with the manufacturers and also employees and customers to determine what a quality product would be and how the product could be produced. And so it became a quality philosophy within the organization to look to produce these products that met the customer's expectations. So total quality management is much more people focused than our quality assurance. Um, and it looks to engage internal customers. So internal customers would be employees and external customers. And one of the key parts of this is that it really looks to empower the staff or the employees to help solve the issue. So management isn't sort of sitting just in their silo, deciding what's going to be done. They're looking to engage employees, and they're looking to engage customers in finding what the solution, what a quality product will actually look like. And the book really gives a great example. I call it the Taco Bell example. And so here, the company, and by when I mean the company, it really the management in the company, thought that customers really wanted new menu items. But really so if they had just, gone on what the management said, they would put a lot of new menu items together. But they decided to take a step back. And what they found out was that customers really wanted four things. They wanted fast service, they wanted accurate orders, they wanted clean restaurants, and they wanted their food to be served at the right temperature. So instead of just, making changes and moving forward with, lots more menu items, instead they took that feedback from the customers. And what they did is created a program within the organization called FACT. So it stands for the first initial of fast service, accurate orders, clean restaurants, and temperature. And so it was this program to create food in a way that the customers really wanted it. So fast, accurate, clean, and at the right temp. So the final approach we're going to review is continuous quality improvement. This approach involves the continuous reevaluation of the operation for the purpose of improving both the process and then ultimately the outcome. What does this really mean? It means how a product is produced or served, or service is delivered, is continuously reviewed as a way to improve the end product or service. This approach really focuses on the process as a means of improving quality. In essence, improve the process, and you're going to ultimately improve the quality. And just as the name implies, this is a continuous process. So once you get to the end of it, you start right back at the beginning and continue to go through it. So here's an example of how CQI, or continuous quality improvement, is implemented. So it's a problem-solving discipline approach that includes 6 steps. Step 1, define the areas for improvement. Figure out what needs to be improved. Step 2, identify all possible causes. What's causing the problem? or what's causing the issue, or what's causing the product from being perfect. Step 3, develop a CQI action plan. So develop an action plan. How are you going to fix this? What are you going to do to make this process better? Step 4, implement it. So put it into action. Step 5, evaluate it. You're going to measure, the outcome. You're going to check to make sure it is where it's supposed to be. And then step 6 is really to standardize the process. And then you go right back to the beginning and continually look for areas for improvement. So again, it's a continuous process, but these are the steps that you would cycle through. In the previous slides, we talked about quality approaches. Now let's talk about how we measure quality. So there are many methods or many tools to measure quality or to track quality. So the first one that we'll talk about is benchmarking. And what benchmarking is, you would produce one product that meets all of the quality standards, and then all of the other products that you produce would be matched against it. So it's considered a benchmark, and all of the other items are compared to that benchmarked item. Another process to kind of track quality is the Pareto analysis, the 80-20 rule. And what this rule is that 80% of our output is really a result of only 20% of our input. Or said in another way, as it's written on the slide, 20% of input results in 80% of output. So when we look at, or when we use a Pareto analysis or a Pareto chart analysis, it really helps us to identify where the largest, most important problems might occur. And then we can kind of track it back to see what the causes of those problems are. Another way to measure, or really to track quality, is through root analysis. And root analysis, I think of this as the preschool method to track quality. You're continually asking why. Why did this happen? Why did this occur? It's a continual why. And for anybody who has younger kids, they're always asking why. So that's what the root analysis is. You get to the root of that quality issue by continually asking the whys. Surveys are another great tool to measure or to track quality. They can be used to evaluate quality based on customers' experience, so a customer survey. They could be used to get a sense of perceptions, how a customer might think about a new item even. And surveys are often used as the first step in the CQI process. So when you go to assess, oftentimes a survey is used to help you assess and identify where a problem might be. Flowcharts are another way to measure or track quality, and these are very visual representations of the processes or the steps you might take in a quality process or quality assessment process. Other types of measures tools to use to measure or track quality could be check sheets or checklists. Uh, so these can be used to say, is the milk at the right temperature? Have the vegetables been cooked properly? Are there fruit in each? Is there fruit in each of the sections in the school cafeteria? So check sheets are a real easy way to make sure that you're meeting your quality standards. And then certainly there are things like histograms or frequency distributions. These are great ways to show or identify trends and patterns in quality. So the last tool or method to track quality is the fishbone diagram. And it's called a fishbone diagram because it looks, when you set it up, it looks like a fish. But really, it's a cause and effect diagram. Certain factors are causing something to happen. So if we look at this slide, we can see on the left we have materials, methods, training, staff. And so these would be considered the cause factors in causing something to happen. In this picture that we have on the slide, it's warm milk. So how this fishbone diagram would work is you would analyze the situation that's happening. And you know that you have warm milk. And so now you need to figure out why you have warm milk. What's causing that warm milk to happen? So you would analyze, is it something to do with the materials? Is it the packaging of the milk? Is the milk in a cardboard container instead of a plastic container? And does that have some impact on the temperature of the milk? Is there a problem with the method, the way the milk is stored? Perhaps the equipment isn't working, or the temperature of the equipment hasn't been checked. So this could be considered some of the methods that might be a cause for that warm milk. And so then you would just go through different aspects. You could look at staffing. Is the staff trained? So here we have training and staff, but is the staff trained? Do they know what to look for in the temperature of the milk? Maybe we need to think about training of the staff in terms of receiving. So is the milk being received at the right temperature? Is the milk being received at past the best by date? Certainly there might be some training aspects in here. And this picture of the fishbone doesn't include this item up here of equipment, but equipment could fit potentially in several different areas. Might be in materials or might be in method. You could actually even have another scale off of here that just said equipment. So this fishbone diagram is going to play an important role in the problem that we are going to work on for our final exam. So you are actually going to analyze a problem and you are going to use the fishbone diagram to help identify what are some of the potential causes for the problem that you're going to be presented with. So I know I said the final exam, and that's all you're thinking about right now. So the next slide set, I am going to talk about the problem, which is the temperature is rising. So that's the problem that we're going to analyze for the final exam. So you are going to have several weeks to go over and to analyze this. So I'll see you in the next slide set.